Why the Swiss love their guns. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Guys, this one is really weird to me because I've been learning that Europeans don't really like guns that much. Like European countries, they ban guns. Only the US is the only Western country that keeps that right of owning arms. That's most European countries, like before you can get a firearm, it's like you need to jump through so many hoops before you could get a firearm. So I'm actually really surprised when I saw the title of this video. I said I have to check this out, why the Swiss love their guns. So let's get right into it.
Jesus. Your finger. What just happened? Of Switzerland, and there's a big festival going on.
By the way, just to say this, I plan on visiting Switzerland anytime I'm able to afford to travel. I must visit all the European countries outside of Ukraine. I'm not sure I'll be able to go to Ukraine, but every other European country, whenever I'm able to afford it, I'll probably do like a European tour, because it's good to go at once. So like, because from what I heard, you can go across Europe through train, which is way cheaper than taking flights. So that is what I heard. So that should be better than maybe going to UK this time, then going to France the next time. Like, it's better you just go, save enough money, go at once, so you can just be going through different European countries through train, if I am even allowed to do that. I don't know how the visa issue is, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to see the world, and I know with my country's passport that will be a very difficult thing, but we'll cross that bridge when we reach it. But because for now, I'm definitely too broke for it.
Everyone has the day off. They're all gathering to have a good time to celebrate guns. It's a shooting competition.
A gun celebration day or what?
Competition for teenagers, and they've been doing this for hundreds of years.
Hey, wie ist euer Schießen gegangen?
It used to just be boys, but now it's boys and girls, and the winner is
Wow.
deemed the king or queen of shooting.
Erstes Mal Knabenschiessen, gell?
Ja, das erste Mal.
Und gerade gewonnen?
Ja,
Wie fühlt sich das an?
das fühlt sich sehr gut an. Ich bin wirklich stolz drauf.
Wow!
Switzerland is a peaceful, neutral country, and yet it is full of guns. The government gives its citizens guns and trains them how to shoot. Every village is required to have access to a shooting range.
We have almost
Wow!
as many guns per head or per person here as in America.
Back home in the United States, we also have a lot of guns. But the culture around guns is a little different.
The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
And the country of Switzerland proves that there's no need for more gun rules.
Guns the #1 cause of death among children in the United States, yet we don't have the will to stop it.
Switzerland has the lowest crime rate in Europe.
That's all we have at this point. God and our guns.
I really want to get to the bottom.
I love that statement. God and our guns. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm from a country that citizens don't have guns. And I feel very, very helpless. I feel very, very helpless sometimes because we don't have the kind of law enforcement people have. You could be robbed right now. You can make all the calls that you want to make, except you have someone that is in the authority that you could call. But if you're not that kind of person, if you're not a big man or a rich man that is able to have access to those kind of people, you're going to be robbed and you're going to love it. Yeah. That is what is going to happen. So sometimes I imagine in that situation, if I had my own way of protecting myself, I wouldn't feel so helpless. I wouldn't feel like I have to beg a bunch of children. Oh, please don't hurt me. Oh, don't hurt me, please. At least I'll go down fighting. At least I'll go down fighting. But I know a lot of Americans, you know, I think that is a political issue when it comes to gun ownership in the US. And I actually think those that don't like guns, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
This gun culture thing, why these two countries have such vastly different relationships with guns. So I delved deeper than I usually delve, and found myself digging through old literature from Scottish political philosophers and looking into the constitutional archives, talking to Second Amendment experts, talking to military historians from Switzerland, and it's finally all clicked for me, and I want to share that with you. So, buckle up for what is going to be a wild ride through history and an adventure through Switzerland.
Wow, okay.
So, as a side note to this story, I've been finding a lot of bunkers in Switzerland, which, if you all remember, a year ago from right now, I published a video about all of the bunkers hiding in Switzerland.
374,000 bunkers.
And now that I'm here again, I find myself stumbling upon more and more bunkers. There's the shooting range, and the targets are on this side. Oh yeah, there's the targets. Oh, I hear them. Holy smoke. So they're literally shooting over the road. Right there. Oh my god, there's people just... Jeez.
Wow.
It's flying over our head right now.
Wow, what the hell?
That... Ah! That is such a weird feeling. Headed to a shoot. Oh my god.
Whoa!
That is such a weird feeling. Headed to a shooting competition right now at this shooting range, surrounded by beautiful Swiss mountains. The sound of these guns, oh my god, it's like a war zone. Good morning. Oh wow.
But it's only 6 rounds.
Yeah.
But it's single loaded, so you always have to
cock it, yeah.
Then you can make the rig wider
Yeah.
and smaller.
Yeah.
And you can even
Guys, I'm so dumbfounded. Like, seriously, I know the US love guns, but I have learned a lot about the US since I've been a teenager. I am very sure they don't have this kind of gun culture. I am very, very sure. Maybe in some secluded Midwestern towns, probably, but definitely not in the cities. Definitely not in the cities. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. What the hell?
As I'm standing here, you realize, like, the cars are right there. You could easily shoot them if you wanted to, if you were standing up. Like, I knew that this existed. I saw the Tom Scott video a few months ago. I thought it was like there was one crazy shooting range in Switzerland that goes over a road. I didn't realize it was common.
Everywhere. Wait.
It's a friendly competition.
Swiss people here, guys, tell me. I'm sure there's a Swiss person that is watching this video right now. Tell me, is that like? Let me say, for example, I've never shot a gun in my life. So let me say I go to this gun range and I'm supposed to practice. I could mistakenly shoot one of the vehicles because I'm not good. Or even if I was good, maybe that time I'm trying to shoot, I could have some kind of maybe brain hemorrhage or something, and my hand would just come down a bit. The angle could just come down a bit and go into the vehicles. I mean, I feel it's too risky, in my opinion. Anyway, let's see.
It's all very wholesome. You see these young kids that are like keeping score, tabulating all of the results. I've been hanging out with the president of one of these shooting clubs, trying to understand a little bit better about what this event and things like this represent for these communities.
the military law tells all the villages that they need to provide a shooting range or a possibility to shoot.
After a while of observing this competition, they told me that it was my turn to shoot. But first, I needed to learn how to use one of these guns.
We got the ammo, military provided at a discount.
Just try again. So you're right-handed?
Yep, I'm right-handed.
Okay. How do you
Is there a
aim?
telescope in there? Like, how am I seeing that far down?
No, there's no telescope.
There's no telescope.
No.
Oh, that's what makes it.
You're not allowed to use any sights, any optics at any competitions in Switzerland.
Okay, so you're gonna make sure I don't hit any of these cars.
Yeah.
No, sure.
Now you're not able to see any cars anymore.
Nope, no more
Okay,
cars.
so no more cars. No more problems about that.
Yes.
Maybe move a little bit further. Yeah. You ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Now it's loaded. It's ready to shoot.
Oh my god. Okay.
Target 19.
Target 19. Here we go.
Very slow. Now you pulled all the way through.
Oh, I did. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I forgot about
That's
that.
why normally we train how that works. But you hit the target.
I hit the target.
Yeah.
That's good.
You
Okay.
actually hit the target.
Wow.
That's good.
Oh,
now-
there we go.
Now we saw it.
I'm getting better. As I shot in my first gun competition, I was surprised that my instructor kept telling me to relax, to breathe, to turn inward.
Exactly.
Yeah, that felt
Now
way more
we hit
relaxed.
the 10.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Wow. I turned inward, relaxed, and I hit the 10.
Yeah.
Sharpshooter over here. Wow, this is addictive. I definitely see, I could do this all.
That nurse showed me safety precautions here. What if someone mistaken? Like, okay, I get it. It's going to be difficult. Well, what if it happens? The angle of the gun comes down a bit, or is it not possible? Like, is the way the gun is kept is not possible that the angle could. This is insane.
So this is like relaxing or calming down for me. Sometimes I feel like going into another world. You turn your focus from focusing outside, you're focusing inside.
Wow. This is fun. Objectively.
Yeah,
this
it looks
is
fun. It looks fun.
And it's beautiful. I'm looking at the Swiss countryside. It's great. My experience with guns as a kid, I would go out into the forest and blow up like glass bottles with shotguns.
That's what I think America is all about.
Wow, that was awesome. I kind of want to shoot again. I never thought I'd say this. I'm not a gun person, but I'm I kind of want to shoot more. This is so fun. I was struck by how peaceful and celebratory and wholesome this all was. So much different than the way guns are presented in the USA. So how did we get here?
The story of Switzerland starts here. Well, actually down there at that lake in a little green valley where a group of people came together and made a promise to each other 700 years ago. And with that promise came a myth.
The hero's name was William Tell, and legend has it that one day he refused to bow down to the king's local leader. It was a daring act of disrespect. So as punishment, the overlord forced him to shoot an apple off his own son's head. Tell aimed his crossbow carefully and released. He made the perfect shot. He continued to defy the ruler and eventually inspired the tribes in this region to launch a rebellion. Tell eventually shot the ruler dead, and the rebels would go on to win their independence, banding together to start the confederacy that would become Switzerland. They first made an agreement that they would protect one another, but instead of forming a full-time standing army run by a king, they would arm and train ordinary people to fight. So not an army at all, but rather a militia.
Wow, this is fascinating.
Now going into a shooting range that is in the mountain in a dugout bunker. Very Swiss. It feels like the old bunker days. Like exploring a bunker, but I'm in a shooting range. Mind-blowingly big. It's like a maze in the mountain with just a bunch of rooms shooting. Okay, so now I'm fully loaded. Safety off. I'm going to take safety off.
Yeah, if you're on the target, and you want to shoot, you can take the safety off.
Okay.
Or not.
Okay. Shooting in the bunker is a completely different experience. Like you feel the vibration of your entire body because the echo is so extreme. I'm getting better at shooting. God. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Straight in.
shot before, right?
No. 2 days ago I started.
So back to 1600s Europe, where Switzerland remained this one peaceful confederacy protected by its citizen militia. Meanwhile, in the rest of Europe, greedy kings were using their huge standing armies to conquer one another, while Switzerland stood by training its citizens in the ways of war. Swiss citizens got so good at fighting that the Pope hired them as his personal protectors. Other empires would even hire Swiss soldiers to fight their own wars. But Switzerland itself remained almost entirely out of these conflicts on the continent. Eventually, European thinkers start to notice this peculiar Alpine confederacy, Switzerland, this place that trains their citizens to fight, and miraculously showed that you can have a republic, even in Europe, a sea of monarchy and kings.
I've been reading a lot of old European political literature, and you start to see this phrase pop up to describe how Switzerland defends itself using a well-regulated militia. I saw this term a lot when I was looking through this old literature.
Around 1610, this British diplomat goes to Switzerland and gawks at their well-regulated militia, how they can overturn their government at pleasure because they all know how to fight.
By the way, back in the 1600s, well-regulated militia meant a well-organized or efficiently run militia, not regulated in the way that we think of it today. But yeah, the idea was if you arm everyone in your society and you train them, that's actually the key to the best defense and the best preservation of freedom for the people, not just the king. This idea of a well-regulated militia spread across the ocean to a group of British intellectuals who were secretly conspiring to overthrow their own king.
In 1776, they declared independence, using their own well-regulated militia to fight off a tyrannical king and his standing army. As they fought this war, a leader from Switzerland wrote to Benjamin Franklin, suggesting that this new rebel experiment called the United States should become sister republics with Switzerland. The Americans somehow won this war and got to work designing their new country. They sat down in a hot church-looking building to draft the document that would be the foundation of this experiment, a system free of kings. The founders studied the political systems of Greece and Rome. They studied the British Magna Carta, Native American Confederacy.
Were they actually sitting down like that, in some room, brainstorming about, okay, what should we do? Okay, First Amendment, okay, free speech, very important, very important. Oh, well, Second Amendment, oh, we have to be like the Swiss, kind of. Second Amendment, right to own arms. Okay. Yeah. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to demonstrate how the lines of Benjamin Franklin and George Washington and the rest of them were like, okay. Okay, what do you think? Okay, right to vote. Oh, okay, yo.
These European philosophers.
But then there's John Adams, one of the founders who was kind of obsessed with Switzerland at this time. He studied their system, and he was amazed at how their militia worked, how they required everyone to have a gun and to have ammo, and they wouldn't let them get married unless they did. He wrote all about this in a treatise on different government systems right before he wrote the Constitution with his fellow co-founders. Switzerland was a model. It was the republic that had resisted tyranny and been able to stay free in a Europe full of kings. And when it came time to write the actual Constitution, you can see that a militia was enshrined in the Constitution itself. In the Constitution, the role of the militia is to protect the government, to protect the country from invasion or insurrection. And then after the Constitution, it became time to draft that sacred list of the most fundamental rights that would ensure that the American project remained free and full of liberty. The first of these 10 amendments would be freedom of speech and of expression, assembly, religion, and the press. But right after that, they write the Second Amendment, and it's about the well-regulated militia being vital, being necessary for the security of a free country. So
this is why when I hear some Americans oppose it, I really do not understand it, to be honest with you. I really don't. But maybe because I'm not living in a gun culture, so I don't really understand it. So maybe my opinion about it is uninformed. I can accept that if someone tells me, look, you are ignorant about it, that is fine. I'm okay with it. I'm probably ignorant about it. But sitting down here from the outside looking in, I think you should never want to lose this. You should never want to lose the Second Amendment. You should never want to lose it. Now, I do know that some of the arguments about gun ownership is not necessarily for people to lose their guns totally. I think some more reasonable people are more about some more regulations, like in terms of background checks and things like that. Not just anybody that can just go into a gun shop and buy guns, I think that is okay, that is reasonable. But even suggesting that some kind of gun should not be owned, like, okay, I mean, what if I prefer to own an AK or an AR-15? I think that's the one I always hear all the time. AR-15 is bad, it's bad, it's bad. What if that is the gun I like? So you should tell me that, okay, that gun is not right if you use this other kind of gun. Like, that part I don't agree with. But in terms of, like, okay, background checks, if you're a former criminal, I think, or things like that, I'm not here to make the judgments here, but I'm just saying, like, some regulations should be put in place. At the end of the day, you can do all the regulations that you want to do. There are always going to be some crazy people, some bad people that are going to exploit the freedom that you have. It's just what it is. But the part I want to really know is, I do know that Switzerland has a very, very low crime rate. So I want to know, like, how the bandage is, because with all these guns all over the place, there are crazy people everywhere. So I'm really wondering how they've managed to curb crime despite the availability of all these weapons. So I really want to know that. And some people also say an armed society is a polite society, which is kind of true, because if you assume that all your victims have guns, you'll be thinking twice before you attack anybody. That's just the fact of the matter. So I don't know. The whole thing is just, but Switzerland is so fascinating, man. I wish I was a citizen of a country like this, to be honest with you. I know their immigration is very tight, and I'm okay with that, to be honest with you. I am an aspiring immigrant, but I will never sit here and agree with a country opening their borders for anybody to enter. I will never agree with that, to be honest. That is why sometimes when I see Democrats in the US like, oh, okay, keep the border open. No, we have to be good people, receive them, bring. I mean, they're already seeing some adverse effects to that. But for some reason, I used to think like you couldn't see this coming. I mean, I could sit down here in Nigeria and I could see it coming. So at the end of the day, a country having tight immigration laws, I have no issues with that whatsoever. You should only allow people that are going to come and contribute to your blossoming country. Don't bring people that are just going to bring whatever culture that they're coming from and come and spoil your culture, spoil your country. And I'm not saying every immigrant does that. Like I'm saying, I'm an aspiring immigrant. If I'm going to any country, like let's say I'm going to Switzerland now to try and be a citizen of this country, I'll try and assimilate to the culture. I'll probably start like loving guns the way these people love guns. That's just how I see it. I don't believe in bringing your culture and going to another country and trying to change it or something. Like I really do not understand that, to be honest with you. So he ran away from a bad situation. He ran away from a bad situation. It's almost like when I see in the US, people who vote Democrats in California, the Democrats will make all these laws like people can go into shops and take anything that they want as long as it's not up to $1,000 or so, and they are free to walk out and things like that, and people are not allowed to. Security can be there, cannot even stop them. Like when I see these videos, I'm actually like, what the hell is going on in the US? But so these Democrats will be like, oh, this place is a shithole. They will not go to Florida, go to Texas, go to all these other red states, and still go and vote Democrats. Like you're running away from the policies that you think are bad. The people that are creating these policies, you voted for them, but you still go to these new states and still go and vote for the same policies that you ran away from. It makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. That's just me from the outside looking in.
To have a militia, the people must have arms. They must have a right to have guns. So now you have the Constitution, the Bill of Rights and the Second Amendment, And then a few years later, the well-regulated militia idea got enshrined in law when one of the first Congresses passed a law that said that every man doesn't just have the right to have a gun, but is required to have a gun and ammo and must train to use it so that the president could call on its armed citizens as its mechanism for defense. This whole legal framework was very clearly like, yes, you can have guns, but only if you are ready to use them to defend our country from invasion or insurrection. And sure enough, George Washington had to actually use this. There was this rebellion in Pennsylvania over taxes, and George Washington called up his armed citizens to march and tamp down on these rebels, and it totally worked. The militia system was working for this young nation to ensure its freedoms with an armed citizenry, something Switzerland had been doing for centuries.
Which is interesting. What if most of the population who were armed militias were in support of the tax, the people, the rebels? What would have happened in that situation? Guys, tell me down in the comments. Because at the end of the day, the whole armed militia thing is fine. It's okay. It sounds good. But what if most of this armed militia actually agreed with this tax issue that was being said here? What would happen? I don't know.
Guns started out as a symbol of collective security, as collective defense, armed citizens ready to stand up to defend the country. But needless to say, things kind of changed when it came to guns in America. So how we got from that to this is the next part of this video. And in my mind, it's the most interesting version of this story because it shows us how Switzerland and the United States diverged so severely from this militia culture. Okay, but before we get to that, I want to show you more about Switzerland today. Show you what it looks like when a country sticks to an actual militia system as their primary tool for national defense. Okay.
To better understand gun ownership in Switzerland, I visited a member of the Swiss Army.
Nice to meet you. Hey. Can I see your gun?
Of course. That's why we came.
That's why I'm here.
I want to play some. Where's Waldo? Where's the assault rifle?
Oh my gosh, I already see it. So you just have a gun in your corner here.
What the hell?
Okay. What's interesting to me is like for you, this is like no big deal. For me, this is a giant gun. Like this is I don't handle guns. Like I held a gun like this for the first time like 2 days ago. For the very first time in my life.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm an American.
Yeah. I was about to.
I mean, it's shocking. You're an American and you've never held a gun like this. At least go to a gun range. What the fuck?
Very uncliche.
Yes. Switzerland still has a militia. Every able-bodied man in Switzerland is given a uniform and a gun and required to join the military.
So, and this is in the Constitution. It's written there that every male can be forced, not only forced to do military service, but also forced to make more. So instead of 21 weeks, I did 37 weeks. And in total, I have to do like 450 days. Up until the 90s, you would go to jail if you refused to do this. Now you just have to pay 3% of your income if you don't. I was also very against the military, and I went reluctantly. One of the first things you do in this initial training is you come to one of these clubs and you learn to shoot. It was kind of scary, actually, because it's all like 18 to 20-year-old guys, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to shoot this gun now. Yeah. And it's like, here's ammunition, here's the rounds, and now you do what you learn. After the recruits complete their training, they return back to their normal jobs, to their normal lives, but they keep their firearm with them in their home. And then they're required to come to one of these private clubs every year to practice shooting.
Die Armeeangehörigen müssen jedes Jahr eigentlich obligatorisch schießen und wir tun eigentlich mit dem Staat arbeiten, oder?
It's called the obligatorisch. So it's obligatory or mandatory for people to shoot.
This is my shooting book. You know, every time I shoot, there is like
a signature or
stamp. Somebody has to sign it. Of course, when you go shooting,
that's incredible. What? Wow. That is mad. Like, I guess it's obviously like, so you have some kind of a signature and a stamp like, okay, certified for this year. What? It's almost like a passport or something.
And you go to the public transport just like that.
You're just on. Just walking around on the train with your gun?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's actually similar to what the United States National Defense Strategy looked in like the 1800s, where every able-bodied man had a gun and was required to use it, required to be ready to defend the country from invasion or insurrection.
Part of this is also being able to fight if it would be necessary, just to, protect our country. And this, self-defense thinking is part of our people and from Switzerland.
What Switzerland doesn't have that we have in the United States is a Second Amendment, an articulated, unambiguous right to have guns. Instead, guns are articulated mostly as a duty to protect the country. And then, secondly, comes the privilege to use guns, to compete with them, to own guns, etc. For them, the duty came first.
We have a tradition of more of a liberty tradition, and there it's more of a responsibility tradition.
Essentially, everybody has to go. So this is kind of like one thing that unifies a lot of the male population here. And it's just like, you can meet a guy, and if he's done military service as well, you can talk for hours and hours and hours on end. And this to me makes all the difference. Like, these two different purposes of guns in society, whether they are a right for individuals or the duty of the collective. I think this is a major factor that divides these two gun cultures.
If you could describe Swiss shooting culture in 3 words, what would those words be?
Wettkampf, Kameradschaft, Tradition.
And this is where it all clicked for me.
Their language almost sounds like English, though it's not English, but the words there rhymed with the English words, the corresponding English words.
I had thought that Switzerland's gun culture was the product of smart laws and gun policies. But being here, it was becoming clear that it was the militia system that was at the root of all of this. The requirement for every man to learn how to shoot as the main strategy for collective national defense, turning guns into a symbol of community and celebration, the center of large festivals all over the country, where Swiss traditions are celebrated with firearms at the center, like that teen shooting competition in Zurich, or this important shooting festival that takes place at the foot of the Alps along a beautiful Swiss lake, the place where the founders of Switzerland formed their confederacy in 1291.
You have so many members of the community coming out and participating in them. You're going to have fun. The shooting is fun. They'll have music. After you're done shooting, you can have some beer or wine, and it's a family affair. And so they kept that alive.
Das Treffen dort, das untereinander mit sich zusammensehen und so weiter. Und da hat es alle dort. Dort hat es von Arbeitern, von Angestellten bis zu Unternehmern. Dort sind alle dort. Also es ist eine Gemeinschaft. Oder?
Okay, we're at yet another gun club, and once again, this gun club has a target that goes right over the top of a highway. I'm here to continue to learn what the deal is with Swiss gun culture and to see if I can get a better score than I did last time. Okay, so this is the gun we're shooting today. Gonna give it a go here? Oh, there's a kick on this one. Okay, here it goes. Wow, jeez.
What the? Look
okay.
at that.
Man, the sound.
Look at that.
Like
See the vehicle just passing.
Through the valley.
What if he hits? Like, I don't get this.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe, oh God.
Oh.
I think I can explain this now. The way this place has been put, they just know where the gun can go anywhere down. You get what I'm saying? So I think that is because when I first saw it, I was so confused.
Oh, beginner's luck continues. Wow. Oh, here comes the score. My scorecard.
Oh, aber
okay, what do we have here?
Also, only
that
this ist nur so groß eigentlich wie ein Fünfliber, wenn man will sagen.
It's the beginner's luck. Beginner's luck. This is my scorecard here. My moosh. What's it called? Moosh. Moosh. I got the moosh. Yeah, so 300 meters away. I think that this bullet just traveled across the valley, over the cars, and hit a thing that's this big is pretty satisfying. So while I'm sitting here shooting bullseyes right below us, not only are there cars, but there's a guy just mowing the lawn. Like there's a guy mowing the lawn right there under the shooting range. This place is at once super buttoned up when it comes to guns and seemingly very relaxed, but it's not relaxed. As I visit these gun clubs, it's striking how much these feel like a magnet for community, a gathering place for the community, a collective activity and competition that everyone in the community can enjoy. I'm so used to guns being associated with danger and division and politics and fear, but here it just has such a different feel than what I'm used to. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I'm loving this so far. I'm really, really loving this. Like, I know it's difficult to become a citizen of Switzerland, but so far, all the videos I've watched, everything that I've learned so far in my life, if I were to choose a country to be a citizen of right now, like if a genie was to tell me, look, pick the country that you want to be a citizen of right now, I'll pick this. I'll pick Switzerland. Seriously, I will. I would pick Switzerland. No crime, like very, very low crime rates, and I like being a place where I can actually own, firearms and feel like I can protect myself and my family. I mean, like, seriously. Countries like the US, UK, there's so much crime in these countries, and a lot of the times, crime is kind of, excused. I see it a lot. Like, to me, I know some people say that some crimes that should not be punished and all that, but man, seriously, I don't subscribe to that. So I see it, I think crime is kind of excused a lot in places like UK and the US. So even in my country, I have situations where you cannot sleep with your eyes closed. It's very stressful. Now these days, especially with how hard the country is, I'm basically like an FBI agent when I'm out in the evening. I have to be looking around me, looking at my back, like I'm almost like some detective. It's so stressful. It's such a stressful life, to be honest with you. So being in a country like this where I can have my own means of protection and also very low crime rates, this is basically heaven for me, at least from what I've been seeing from the outside. Maybe there are some things that I don't know. You guys can tell me down in the comments if there are some negatives that I should know about.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. This is really good. It's been a really enlightening experience visiting all these shooting ranges, and what it's taught me is that guns here in Switzerland are a totally different thing than they are in America. Like, they're a completely different symbol. They have a very different purpose. They have a very different meaning. And that's kind of surprising to me because remember that the United States was founded on a lot of the same paradigms
so where did it go wrong?
When it came to having a militia and having firearms in society as a form of collective defense. So to understand how these two gun cultures so greatly diverged despite having similar roots, you have to understand what happens after the Constitution, after the Second Amendment.
I have the right to protect my family and myself.
What do you think about American gun culture? Like, what's the view? Bonkers.
Like, the fact that everybody has a gun in America, it would make me feel uneasy. And I'm used to being in the proximity of guns and a lot of guns. I don't know how you guys do it.
And if he tries to take our guns, he can take them from our cold, dead hands.
There has been a shooting at a synagogue.
Get off of my porch right now.
Gun control, all it's going to do is take the guns out of the people that obey the law.
3 people are killed in Jacksonville, Florida today after what appears to be a racially motivated hate crime.
So after its independence, the US quickly learned that while a militia is great for defense, deterrence, and neutrality, it is not good for one thing: conquest. Beginning in the 19th century, the US expanded west very quickly. They fought other European colonists and Native Americans for their land. They would eventually fight each other in a civil war. These kinds of operations were too big for militias made up of everyday citizens. Instead, they needed to establish and fund a centralized professional standing army. And this was just the beginning. By the time the 1900s rolled around, the US had grown into something that Switzerland never was, and probably never will be. An expansionist empire, using its sprawling permanent military to wield influence around the globe. By the middle of the century, it would become the largest and most powerful military to have ever existed. Because the US had a huge standing army, it did away with a lot of the original laws requiring people to join the militia. And now, without a duty to form a militia to protect the country from invasion and insurrection like the Constitution said, they were left with just the second half of this amendment, the right to bear arms, and how it should not be infringed. Guns started to become more of a personal tool, a tool to pursue their American dream, to hunt, to protect their family, to exterminate.
It's more like the Rambo style. It's not like I'm going shooting at the target. You don't go shooting somewhere in the woods or in the forest. Just don't do that. You go to a shooting range and you get part of the community, and then your goal is not just to, shoot wherever there is. So your goal is to get better. And your goal is not just to shoot around.
Guns continued to take on a more personal symbol in the 60s and 70s when more and more Americans were losing trust in their government. This was also right at the time when crime was skyrocketing in America.
Without this duty for collective defense, guns became more and more a symbol of personal defense from all of this crime, personal liberty, and a symbol of this growing anti-government sentiment. And as a result, the number of guns in America soared. The NRA, which, remember, after the Civil War started as a largely non-political group that was meant to just help Americans be more responsible and better marksmen, they got taken over in the 70s by a group of hardliners who wanted to change the agenda of the NRA, turning it into a political lobbying group that was set on reshaping the way Americans thought about the Second Amendment and making sure that no legislation ever made it through that curtailed gun rights. They began pushing an interpretation of the Second Amendment that was about individual protection, a right to bear arms so that you can protect yourself, and trying to de-emphasize the connection to a well-regulated militia as the purpose for this right to bear arms.
In the face of this relentless onslaught of gun control schemes, you're the reason the Second Amendment still stands. You're the tip of the spear.
You're the ones that make it possible for us every day to defend this freedom.
And it totally worked. The Second Amendment became more and more a guarantee that everyone can have guns to protect themselves and their family, having nothing to do with protecting the country. After all, we had the biggest military in the world. We didn't need a militia anymore.
Don't let Hillary leave you protected with nothing but a phone. The NRA Political Victory Fund is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
This
that ad is... I'm dead. That ad is hilarious. That advert is absolutely hilarious. Don't let Hillary leave you with your phone. Oh, man. Well, one of the things, I'm going to be honest with you guys. One of the things with the US is Switzerland can be on their high horse, We are the right. We have this gun culture and we do it the right way. It's easy for you to say, with your low population and your, dare I say, homogeneous population. Look, I'm all for diversity and everything, but at the end of the day, when you have so many different cultures, the US is an amalgamation of so many cultures. It's almost impossible for everybody to be on the same page. Almost impossible. So in a situation like that, you can't really have what Switzerland has. The US literally cannot have what Switzerland has. That is just the truth of the matter. And I now understand why Switzerland are very, very tight on immigration. I now understand it, because if you just allow a lot of people with different cultures to come into your country, this thing that you think that you have here, which is great, well, I'm not trying to say that immigrants spoil countries. I am an aspiring immigrant as well, so I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying it's easier for people to be on the same page where they are of homogeneous origin. We have it in my country, in Nigeria. We are all black here, but we are as divided as ever due to tribe. Like, it's not even about color here. It's about belief. It's about upbringing. It's about everything. Culture. So even though we are all we are all the same race, we are so divided. So something like this cannot also happen in my country. What Switzerland has can never happen in my country as well. So the US is also in that situation also. So Switzerland are in a very, very good position, and hopefully they don't try to destroy it. They should stick to their tradition, stick to everything that they're supposed to do. And I'm not saying you should not let immigrants in, but let it be immigrants that are coming to contribute to your society, not destroy it.
Interpretation of guns and the Second Amendment would become solidified in a 5-4 vote in the Supreme Court in 2008, when the court ruled that the Second Amendment guaranteed people to have guns, even when those guns have no relationship to an armed militia. So this is why the United States has more guns than any country on earth, because the courts have ruled that guns are an individual right, a right to bear arms. Every year, 20,000 murders occur with a gun. Thousands of children and teens are killed with a gun. Hundreds of deaths are caused by gun accidents. Hundreds of mass shootings. And of course, the leading cause of gun violence, suicides. Tens of thousands of lives taken with guns. But we can't seem to do much about it, because as long as guns remain an individual right, now deeply woven into American identity, any effort to try to pass reasonable laws to try to limit these countless deaths that we have in our country will continue to fail, especially as the NRA continues to politicize guns, to use them to divide America, to scare America, and to make us feel like we need guns to be safe.
The facts are...
Actually, you do. Actually, you do. Like I'm saying, the US is not Switzerland. This is the problem with a lot of when I see, like, even like I'm trying not to sound political here, but I see it more with the Democrats. They have this this idealistic, view of life, like this is how it's supposed to be, and it's going to be like this. This is the right way, not looking at reality. The fact of the matter is, I don't think, personally, in my opinion, I don't think the US can do what Switzerland does. You are too culturally heterogeneous. That's just the fact of the matter. You are just too divided in terms of culture and race. That's just the truth. So it just can't work. It just can't. Like I'm using my country as an example here because we are all black, but we are so divided because of religion, tribe, and everything. So the US is basically almost the same thing in terms of like that kind of division. You just can't achieve what Switzerland is achieving. That's just the truth.
On our side. Guns save lives, and you'll never stop us from defending our families.
My last visit was an important one, to this gun shop, where the owner is Swiss, but is a card-carrying member of the NRA and a big fan of American gun culture. I had to get his take on this.
These are the best assault rifles in the world.
Really?
These are, yes.
Wow. What makes them so good? Why are they so good?
They're Swiss-made. Any questions?
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to say any more. What do you feel when you look at American gun culture?
It's very, very interesting. From the gun system, from the gun laws, I would like to live in the States, but not with all the dumb asses around. I don't know why there are so many deaths, accidents with firearms.
Yeah.
And here, nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why are the US citizens so stupid and let a loaded firearm there on the table with kids 1, 2, 3 years old?
Yeah.
I don't know why. You need some rules, some.
Yeah.
Our government, they support shooting clubs.
Yeah.
They do support ammo. They support shooting ranges.
Yeah.
They support the guys who are going to a shooting range. You need rules.
Yeah.
You need to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do need rules. Like I said earlier, you need the reasonable people that say, okay, look, there should be some rules somewhere. There should be some rules somewhere, yeah. But the problem with rules has always been that, do you really trust a government to stop where they're supposed to stop? Meaning, yeah, okay, put in rules, but where would these rules stop? Would the government stop where it does not actually infringe on the rights of the citizens? I'm not sure about that. Especially the US that is so politically driven. Now, if maybe the Supreme Court lifted that law, whatever law that they are supposed to lift, that the government can maybe enforce some kind of law, who knows what Democrats would do when they are in power? So I understand why the people in the NRA in the US or whatever Republicans are so scared of that, because any little leeway that you give could probably be exploited. So I know this is getting political. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
So, here's my conclusion in all of this. I went into this story thinking that I was going to tell a policy story, like how different policies would affect gun culture. And it totally took a different route, because I learned sort of halfway through that guns are a symbol. They are a symbol. Yes, they're a weapon. Yes, they are a sports tool, but they are also a symbol for the people who wield them. The way we see guns is deeply influenced by the stories and the myths of our societies. Switzerland and the United States have two very different stories, and because of that, they have two very different gun cultures. For Switzerland, having armed citizens who were trained with weapons is what kept them neutral and safe as a group, as a collective. The United States admired this and tried to copy it, and they did for a while. But soon, the demands of an expanding empire allowed that vision to fade and turned the meaning of guns into something different, making it a right for individuals to protect themselves. Most guns in America are not used to protect people. That's not what they're used for. They're often used at a shooting range or hunting or to end someone's life. And yet to the people who hold fast to their firearms as a right, they feel like any change to that, any legislation to change or to limit those guns is a taking away of their right. So the way I see it, as long as guns are an individual right associated with personal protection and personal liberty, not a lot's going to change in America. We certainly don't stand a chance of having a culture anything like what we've seen here in Switzerland.
No, you don't.
And that's a shame to me. That's a shame.
Wow, that was such a fascinating video, man. Such a fascinating video. Look, the thing about this whole, gun thing, like I think Switzerland have it the right way. From what I heard, no crime whatsoever in that country. Everybody is respectful of each other because, everybody's ready to fight. Everybody's ready to defend themselves. So everybody's polite, Now, the US is a bit different. The US is too divided. Like, the US actually do remind me of my country a lot. I won't lie to you. It does remind me of my country a lot. And it's part of the reason why I actually do believe in this whole talk of the American empire collapsing soon enough. Because I just think, I don't know how to say this. I really don't know how to say this, but I know what I have in my head. But the thing is, like he said towards the end there, that any sign of any legislation being passed, things like that could look. I kind of agree with the gun owners here. I know it sounds weird for someone that hasn't held a gun in his life, but I kind of agree with the gun owners here because I don't trust politicians. I just don't. I come from a country of corrupt politicians, so I don't trust politicians whatsoever. And you could say, okay, pass this law, for one thing led to another. You don't know what could happen. The Democrats could come into the government, maybe run the House, run the Congress, run everything, run the Senate, everything, and they could just keep changing. Because at the end of the day, from what I'm seeing, it's like I don't really know. I really do not understand some of the Democrats' policies in the US, to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep. It's almost like the same thing as when people talk about Putin in the Russia-Ukraine stuff. A lot of people feel like, okay, he's not going to stop in Ukraine. He's going to, if he's allowed to take over Ukraine, he's going to try Poland. He's going to try Estonia. He's going to try other European countries. It's the same thing. It's the same way I look at the Democrats. Yeah, I do agree that there should be some rules. There should obviously be some rules, but I just don't trust them to stop where they're supposed to stop. I just don't. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep infringing on the rights of those gun owners. So I do support the gun owners in that aspect, to be honest. And that is very weird for someone that's never heard a gun in his life. Anyway, this was a very interesting one. I went into some political talk there. I know some people will probably disagree with me in the comments, which is fine. I'm just going by what I see from the outside looking in. Maybe I'm ignorant. That is fine. You can't blame me for being ignorant. I'm just going by what I see from the outside. And to be honest with you, if I were in the United States, I'll probably vote Republican. I don't agree with everything that they stand for. Like, for example, I don't agree with this, abortion thing. Like, I mean, what is the problem? If a woman wants to abort a child, let her abort. It's her body. That is just how I look at it. So in that aspect, I may be more in support of Democrats in that aspect. But outside of that, like most of the other policies I see from the outside, if I were to put the pros and cons of each side, I'd probably go Republican if I were in the US. That's just the truth, because some of the Democrats' policies that I see are absolutely crazy, are absolutely insane. That some Republican policies are also insane, but if I were to go in terms of like, okay, which ones, the one for criminals is just out of this world for me. Like the pampering of criminals by the Democrats is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous in my opinion. Like, I can't imagine having a business. Like when I see these videos, my head is almost blowing up. And people always say, "Oh, okay, it's Target. It's a big company. Who cares? They can lose money. They have insurance." That is just mad. Like, man. But it's not just Target. There's some mom and pop shops that are also affected by this. I saw one video of a bunch of Indian immigrants, Pakistani immigrants that were using a stick to beat, and I was very happy about it when I saw that. Like, that is ridiculous. This guy just came in with carrying the basket and was just bringing down things into the basket, and people are just expected to stand and look at that. That is mad. That is just insane. Like, and there were some people that were saying these people could even be charged for it. And I didn't follow the story, so I don't know whether they were eventually charged for it. But the fact that they could even be charged for it is insane to me. But whatever, like the whole thing is just, I don't understand that someone could have the mind to do something like that. Shows you that they believe that they'll be like, there's even an armed robber coming to your shop to try and rob you. That is different. It's committing a crime. This one, someone comes in there because they believe that they're not going to be stopped. They can just come in there and just be packing things and leave. That's mad. Anyway, see you on the next one.